What's up, guys? Farzin Vasugan here with you on a Sunday. Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is for you guys. It's game day. That's all that matters. It's game day. Some of you guys are watching across the pond. Appreciate you guys. That's like evening, late night for some of you guys there, depending where you are. But nonetheless, appreciate you guys joining me for this episode of the pregame live chat, rather, not Red Friday live chat. It is a Sunday, not a Friday. We will have a game day on a Friday later this year, but that is not today. That day is not today. All right. How are we feeling? Sunday night football. Going to be waiting all night for Sunday night. It's going to be a long day. Waiting. Got to get several games out of the way, and then we'll get to Chiefs and Falcons. Look, I'm thinking about the defense in this one here because they have not looked really good against tight end so far this year. Kyle Pitts, he's had a very quiet start to his season. So you wonder which one's going to break here. Is it going to be Kyle Pitts or is it going to be the Chiefs defense when it comes to trying to stop tight ends here? So hopefully the Chiefs defense can take advantage. I know there's been a lot of criticism around Nick Bolton right now. And I not that we want to dive into that so much at the moment, but I suppose we can at least allude to it. But a lot of people are wondering that Nick Bolton, whether or not this is going to hurt his chances of getting a long-term deal with the Chiefs following this season. And I can't really push back against that because he has not looked great. And on top of that, you have Drew Tranquil, who's got a very nice deal that he signed with the Chiefs in the offseason. But at the moment, I don't know how much of that is really worth it. Even Drew Tranquil has kind of looked slow to start the season. Nick Bolton's been pretty bad so far in the first 2 weeks, and I don't know how much of it has to do with his elbow injury because he does have that big brace on his elbow, but he's out there. So you'd like to think that he can at least do something and maybe have a better game today against Kyle Pitts and the Falcons because their tight end room is not the best. Now, they're probably looking at the Chiefs and saying, well, the Chiefs linebackers have not been very good in covering tight ends so far this year. So what strategy do the Chiefs have in trying to defend that in this game? That I'm very curious to see. Something we did not see in week 1 against the Ravens, and I think some of it had to do with Lamar Jackson, being the type of quarterback he is, though the Chiefs did do this in the AFC title game. The Chiefs did not do a lot of linebacker and defensive back blitzes in week 1. We saw much more of that in week 2 against Joe Burrow and the Bengals. And when they let Joe Burrow and the Bengals kind of do their thing in the first half, you didn't see the Chiefs make an effort to send the house after Burrow. You saw more of that in the second half, and that's when you saw Burrow and the Bengals kind of slow down a little bit because they sent a linebacker and or a DB to go after Burrow. And you even saw the Bengals try to counter that with leaving a tight end, a running back there to try to defend. So how do the Chiefs attack Kirk Cousins in this game? That I'm very curious to see. So do we see more of the linebacker and DB blitzes? That's something Spags did a lot of last year, and that really worked. I know the Chiefs are right now, I think, 5th or 6th to last in the NFL on total yards allowed. Look, you are playing two good teams, but I don't think that's really an excuse to look like that against two good football teams, especially considering the type of season you had last year. And I know a lot of people are talking about Willie Gay and L'Jarius Sneed no longer being on the team. How much did the Chiefs miss them? I definitely think the Chiefs do miss L'Jarius Sneed. They're 2-0 without him against two good football teams. I know they're both 0-2, but I don't think there's a doubt in anyone's mind they're both going to turn things around starting this week. I definitely think the Bengals are going to win Monday night. I don't know who the Ravens play, but whoever they're playing, I would bet that they're playing the Cowboys. Well, the Cowboys didn't look great last week, so we'll see. But I would almost bet that they both get their seasons turned around to get going here in week 3. But my point here is the Chiefs defense has to be better about it. I think Leo Chenal is doing just fine. I think he's doing a good job filling in for Willie Gay. In fact, I think he's doing some things that we didn't necessarily see from Willie Gay to start off when Willie Gay started to get more playing time after 2020, his rookie season. So that whole situation there with the Chiefs defense, just got to be better. Just got to look at what worked last year, see how you can duplicate that. I still think, I trust guys like Jalen Watson and Josh Williams. Those are two guys who've had flashes in the past. We didn't see much of them last year because your feature quarterbacks last year were McDuffie and Sneed, and those two guys. I know Sneed was dealing with some injuries, but he still managed to play a majority of the games last year for the Chiefs. So I still have some confidence in those guys. Watson and Williams to step up and come through for the Chiefs defense as the season goes on, because we've seen it in the past, and I think they're capable of doing it again. Yeah, blitz on Kirk Cousins. Listen, a lot of quarterbacks, even the best quarterbacks in the NFL, Brady, Manning, Mahomes, when you do pressure those guys, and if you can be quick about it to the point where if you can get to them in 2 seconds, and within those 2 seconds, other pass catchers are open, yeah, you can definitely get to them and find a way to win that football game. That's a huge advantage right there. That can really work to your advantage when you can get to the quarterback like that. So hopefully the Chiefs do more of that in this game against Kirk Cousins, because the Falcons have not necessarily been lighting up the scoreboard. They put up 10 points against the Steelers in a game where the Steelers, their defense was strong, and all they needed was 6 field goals, and that's all they had. And then against the Eagles, rallied late, but still found a way to put up 22. Again, not necessarily the most prolific offense you're going to be facing here. I like Kirk Cousins. I always feel like Kirk Cousins has been underrated, underappreciated in the NFL. I think in Minnesota, they eventually came around with him, especially when he got injured last year. So I've just always felt like Kirk Cousins has been underappreciated and underrated in the NFL, especially for the teams that he's played for with Washington and with Minnesota. So the one concern I do have is Bijan Robinson. Yeah, this is a really good running back here. A lot of the complaints last year with the Falcons, why are they not utilizing that guy more? And I think they're doing a better job of using him this year. I still remember when that guy would play against KU. I hated seeing him play against KU. They've also got a couple of good receivers there: Darnell Mooney, Ray-Ray McCloud, Drake London. I mean, that's a solid trio of wide receivers. Not the best. I mean, I wouldn't compare it to what the Chiefs had prior to Hollywood's injury. I know Hollywood didn't play a game, but that was a trio that a lot of people looked at and said, this is a really good opportunity for the Chiefs to really turn things around with their wide receiver core. But I still think with that unit right there, that's something Kirk Cousins can utilize and do some damage to the Chiefs defense. So to me, the blitzing is so important in this game. As far as the offense goes, look, I think they can get through without Kareem Hunt for tonight. But let me just make it really simple for you guys. And if you watched my my reel from this morning when I did my 3 keys for what the Chiefs need to do to beat the Falcons, Patrick Mahomes has to make better decisions. I think in terms of the decision-making for Patrick Mahomes, this has been the worst start in his career. He's been much better about this in years past. Everyone makes a big deal about Patrick Mahomes in the month of December and how he usually looks. But man, I think in terms of decision making, this has been the worst Patrick Mahomes has looked to start off the season. I think this is the worst he has looked in back-to-back games. So he's got to be much better about that to start things off tonight against the Falcons. Here's something important to keep in mind. And again, if you watch my reel from this morning, you'll know this. Patrick Mahomes, he's kind of hurt the Chiefs a little bit, especially the defense. The Chiefs have had two drives, one in each game so far, where Patrick Mahomes threw an interception on the very first play of the drive. So, you have 2 drives, both very short-lived, both of them one play, resulting in an interception. Not just any interception, it was a very poor decision by Mahomes. One was before halftime in the Ravens game. Thankfully, the Chiefs defense held strong in the red zone, and then again against the Bengals in the first half there. The decision making has been, your wife's a Falcons fan. Oh, well, let us know the status of everything at 10:30 tonight, Charlie. No, I'm being facetious, of course. But Rick, I see you mentioning Mahomes. It's not Mahomes. It's the O-line not protecting him. Okay, I get where you're coming from. And again, we have Wanye Morris, who's going to be starting at left tackle today. That was brought up by certain reports. But I think, I don't think the bad decision-making has anything to do with pass protection. I mean, it's not like Mahomes was facing pressure and was in danger of getting sacked on those plays there. That was just, in my opinion, and I'll check the tape again. In my opinion, I think that's just him making a very poor decision on those throws there. So he's got to be much better about that. You can't be, again, like turnover. What are the 2 things that can really hurt a team and can increase your chances of losing? Turnovers and time of possession. I feel like those are like the two biggest factors when it comes to trying to win a football game. Well, wins and losses, I think, are determined by those two stats, in my opinion. So hopefully the Chiefs, specifically Mahomes, can be better. And listen, I don't disagree with you, Rick. I don't think any Chiefs fan is pushing back on what you're saying. The offensive line needs to be better, specifically at left tackle. We'll see what Wanye Morris does, starting for and filling in for Kingsley Suamatia. I just think when you look at the Chiefs right now, I think if Patrick Mahomes does a better job with his decision making, I think the Chiefs score more points. I think they score in the 30s in both games. So that's something I'm really curious to see. Corey's asking what games am I watching today for the noon slate, which I'm going to get out of here real soon. Bears Colts I want to see just because I'm really curious about Caleb Williams. There's so much surrounding him. There was a lot of hype. Obviously, Chargers and Steelers, considering the Chiefs do play the Chargers next week, that'll be very important to watch. And then Texans Vikings, the 2-0 teams. So I'm really curious how those two do against each other. And then for the 3 o'clock and 3:25 slate of games, Panthers Raiders. Curious how the Raiders look coming off a huge win on the road in Baltimore. I know a lot of people will say that was more Baltimore's collapse, and I don't disagree, but you can't ever apologize for winning. That's the old adage in the NFL. You do not apologize for winning. It doesn't matter what happens, what the other team does. If they have a myriad of injuries in the same game, the Dolphins are going to be a very interesting team to watch without Tua, and how's Skylar Thompson going to do? We've seen Skylar Thompson before for the Dolphins, so this is not the first time he's had to fill in for Tua, but he's got the weapons around him. Can he utilize that with the Dolphins in this game? The Dolphins have had issues playing well against teams with a winning record. So and that's going to be very interesting to watch. All of the 325 games are very interesting for me. I know Panthers Raiders might not be interesting to a lot of people outside of Kansas City, but given that it's the Raiders, obviously you're always following your division rivals very closely. And then 49ers Rams. Both of them have been decimated by injuries, kind of like the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs have already lost Hollywood Brown for the season, possibly. Isaiah Pacheco is going to be out for quite some time. You look at the Rams, they're without their two great receivers, Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. And meanwhile, the 49ers are without Debo, and they're without George Kittle here, and Christian McCaffrey. Like the 49ers, now the 49ers, their backup who's been filling in, who was it? Jordan Mason. He's been doing really well so far for them. So the Christian McCaffrey loss is not too terrible right now. But boy, I just feel like Saints Eagles. Yeah, that's a really good point, Lori. Saints Eagles. I kind of went through that one there. The Saints have been a huge surprise here, and I know usually after week 2, people love to do the pretenders and contenders. I don't know. I mean, I like to wait until week 3. But I can't really push back against Derek Carr. You guys know me. I've been a very big critic of Derek Carr and what he's done his entire career with the Raiders and a little bit with the Saints. But he has looked great. I mean, this is probably the best start we have ever seen from Derek Carr. And I thought Derek Carr was great in 2015 and 2016 for the Raiders. But he is off to a really, really solid start here. Okay. All right. I'm going to get out of here, guys. Appreciate you guys joining me for a late and short edition of the pregame live chat. Hey, come back at halftime. We will do our halftime live stream, and then it'll be a late Sunday night, but we'll still do it. We will be doing the Chiefs Zone podcast live tonight after Sunday Night Football. So join me for that phone call. Links will be there so you guys can call in, give me your thoughts after the game. All right, guys. Appreciate you all. I will talk to you all later. Peace out.